UFC 305 Du Plessis versus Adesanya, predictions, betting breakdown, and of course the weigh-in recap at number 3. So the reason we make these videos is because if you're watching my full card prediction from like Sunday of last week, things could have definitely changed. Someone could have had a bad weight, somebody could have missed weight, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that. But there's a lot of things that could change and sway my prediction one way or another. It's a good time to really see where my predictions lie now that we are really close to the fights. And of course, you get to see some of my thoughts betting wise on a lot of these fights as well. But if you do want to see the actual bets I am going to make, the bets, the parlays, the props, the money lines that I have for UFC 305, if you want to see all of them, it's the link in the pinned comment down below or the top link in the description. For pretty much the price of a cup of coffee for an entire month, 4 UFC fight cards worth of bets. Absolutely insane value there, so check out that pinned comment. But let's get into the first fight here. It's saying 127. That's because, well, we had a weight miss, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Aguilar coming in at 127.5 pounds. Missed weight on even this catch weight of 127, which is kind of funny there. But Stewart Nicoll made weight at 126. Jesus missed weight by 1.5 pounds. If we're going to look at the pictures here, they both look good on the scales. If I can find them, I might be a little bit blind here. Where did Stewart Nicoll just go? There he is. In the flyweight division, he looks fine. His body looks good. His face doesn't look sunken in or anything. He's smiling on the scales. Looks great. No issue there with Stewart Nicoll, in my opinion. Jesus Aguilar, you would think, right, if you're going to miss weight, you tried your very hardest to make weight, right? No, it doesn't look like it, to be honest. Jesus Aguilar doesn't look like he had a crazy hard time on the scales. Looks like a guy that made weight, to be honest with you. I mean, he doesn't look really drained or anything like that, like he had a horrible weight cut, because he didn't cut all the weight. I mean, this is a clear case scenario where after the weigh-ins, now that I'm making a new prediction, I'm even more confident on Jesus Aguilar going out there and getting the upset. Of course, my prediction still remains Stewart Nicoll to go out there and win a close decision, but now I'm less confident on Stewart Nicoll. That's my thing there. Stewart Nicoll's betting odds right now, minus 197 is the best you're going to get. Minus 198 now, and then plus 200 for Jesus Aguilar. It's a dog or pass fight. If you're looking at the money line, I personally, especially now after the weigh-ins, would not do anything with that money line on Stewart Nicoll. It's an underdog or pass. For me, it's a pass, but that's what I would say. Jesus Aguilar by decision prop. His Nicoll by decision is barely in that plus money. Jesus Aguilar by decision is at plus 500. He probably has a little bit better cardio to go the later rounds because now he missed weight and is going to be a little bit less drained. So yeah, Aguilar by decision or Aguilar on that money line. If you don't do either of those ones, don't freaking bet this fight. Please just don't bet the fight. Kenan Song, Ricky Glenn, let's go check out what they weighed in on the scales. Kenan Song is the natural welterweight. Ricky Glenn is moving up from lightweight to welterweight. They both weighed in exactly the same at 171 pounds. So neither of them cutting more than they really had to there. Let's go ahead and find Kenan Song or Ricky Glenn. This is always the hard part. Kenan Song looking kind of scary, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what's up with his face there. This side of his face is looking a little interesting, but I don't know. Like, I can't even focus on how well the weight cut was because he's just looking like a super villain, if I'm being straight honest with you. But nothing really stands out to me to say that he had a horrible weight cut or anything like that. Ricky Glenn, I mean, if he had a bad weight cut, I don't know how. The man is coming up from lightweight to welterweight to make weight here. He looks great. He looks full. He looks fed. He looks hydrated, to be quite honest with you. He looks good on the scales as well. So, and looks solidly big. Like, he doesn't look like his picture here versus Kenan Song's picture. He doesn't look like he's a super small fighter compared to Kenan Song in the weight classes. So, yeah, this actually makes me feel just a little bit better on Ricky Glenn as the underdog. Same thing with that first fight. The weigh-ins are making me feel just a tad bit better on that underdog to go out there and get the win. Personally, I mean, I know Kenan Song has been knocked out before. 21 wins, 8 losses. I do still have Kenan Song going out there and winning, and I do have him getting the TKO. He didn't get knocked out by Kevin Jousset. Did get knocked out by Max Griffin, Ian Machado Gary, Brad Rydell a little bit earlier in his career, then Israel freaking Adesanya on Adesanya's 3rd ever pro MMA fight, which is kind of freaking crazy, but Ricky Glenn going out there and knocking him out doesn't seem super likely. So I do want to see what the inside the distance scorecards no action. That's not enough. Minus 300 on Kenan Song. Scorecards no action really is not enough for me to put money on the line. But it's the same thing kind of here, where if the fight does go to a decision, I kind of see it going either way, where it could literally go either way in the scorecards. Song could barely win it. Ricky Glenn could barely win it. I don't see Glenn knocking out Song. I could very well see Song knocking out Glenn. So if Glenn's going to win, probably a decision. If Song's going to win, it's a knockout. And Song by knockout, plus 120. Glenn by decision, plus 400 right there. So I think there is a decent amount of value, not a crazy amount, but a decent amount of value on fight goes to a decision at plus 150, because I highly doubt Ricky Glenn is going to go out there and get the finish. And then if we're looking at how many times Ricky Glenn himself is on the receiving end of getting finished, it's 50-50. He's been knocked out twice, went to decision 4 times, and he's been submitted 2 times. But he is coming off 2 knockout losses, but they were at lightweight when he was cutting a lot more pounds. So I don't know. I'm honestly leaning towards not betting the money line either way, and maybe doing a slight little bet on the fight goes to a decision, or maybe just Song or Glenn by decision. I mean, I wouldn't bet the finish. There's not enough value on the knockout, and there's not enough value on the money line on Kenan Song either. Then we got Tom Nolan and Alex Reyes. This is an interesting one. Weigh-in wise, 156 for Alex, and then Tom Nolan cut a little bit more and weighed in at 155 pounds. I still got Tom Nolan round 1 or round number 2 by TKO, if we're going to find them on the scales. Alex Reyes looks great, smiling on the scales. His face looks a little bit rough. Crooked nose. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's had that for a while, but yeah, pretty crooked nose there. Face looking little bit sunken in, but not a crazy amount. And now we got to check out Tom Nolan. Tom's not looking like he's having a fun time on the scales at all right there. His eyes kind of look a little woo. So I would say they kind of had a draw on the scales. Neither guy looks a lot worse than the other guy. In my opinion, don't bet the money line on Tom Nolan. I swear to God, I've been saying it like every video. Do not freaking bet on Tom Nolan as the dog. I swear, don't freaking do it. But Nolan by knockout is at minus 400, which how? That's insane to have a knockout prop at minus 400. I'm going to be straight up with everybody here. Just like the other ones, the only thing that has value, minus 400 never has value. Minus 1200 on the money line, never going to have value. Nolan by decision on DraftKings kind of makes me wonder. And I know. Alex Reyes got knocked out in his last fight. Got knocked out the fight before that. Way earlier on in his career, got knocked out again. He's been to a decision 1 time. He's finishing everybody he fights. Could be a fight that just goes to a decision. I mean, 14-1, I think that's what it was, right? 14-1 has to be like worth putting like a tenth of a unit on. Like, to be honest, I might literally just put $10 on that bet, because no way I'm betting anything else. I'm not gonna bet Reyes as the dog. I don't feel like it. I'm not gonna bet Nolan as the money line. Put him in a parlay. What is it gonna change my plus 100 from plus 100 to plus 110? Like, it's not going to do much to a parlay. So yeah, I mean, Tom Nolan by decision plus 1400. I gotta think, out of 14 times these guys fight each other, a lot of those times Tom Nolan probably goes out there and gets the knockout, but a good amount of those times I think Tom gets it to go all the way, doesn't get the finish, and wins on the scorecards, 30-27, 30-26. Reyes just trying to survive and stays alive. So yeah, I mean, that's a weird fight to be betting on, but plus 1400, little sprinkle, but nothing much. Don't put freaking $100 on Tom Nolan decision. That'd be kind of crazy. Maybe a $5 bet, $10 bet. Jack Jenkins and Herbert Burns at 145. This is short notice. for Herbert Burns, who made weight. Jack made weight by a pound, so he cut a pound extra than he actually had to, which I always find weird, that UFC fighters are cutting a whole pound more. I've never been a pound under on any weigh-in in the history of my wrestling and MMA career. That is insanity, but this is what he looks like, a pound under the featherweight limit. Obviously, his face isn't looking great. But he looks fine on the scales. Didn't look like he had a crazy, horrible weight cut. His opponent, Herbert Burns, looks fine, honestly. Looks great on the scales. Obviously not smiling like some of the people here. I don't know how they smile on the scales. That's crazy. But yeah, Herbert Burns looks fine as well. So my prediction remains the same in a Jack Jenkins TKO in round 2 after an early onslaught from Herbert Burns, trying to go out there and get the finish. Money line, I mean, you could parlay that, I guess, but don't be money lining. I guess a Jack Jenkins putting $700 to win 100. Parlay him, maybe that'd be about it. Goes to a decision. I highly doubt it goes to a decision, if we're honest. But maybe that round 2 knockout win for Jack Jenkins. I haven't seen Herbert lose in round 1, and I haven't seen him survive all the way to round 3 or a decision. So if I'm being straight up with you, I do think that if Jack Jenkins is going to go out there and knock him out, it's going to be in round 2. And I'm trying to find it right now. Where is a Jack Jenkins by round 2 knockout? There it is, plus 300. Jenkins round 1 knockout plus 175. Yeah, that'd be about it. I mean, I really wouldn't do much else in terms of the prop department, but this is how he always loses, is in round 2, is by knockout when he gasses out. So plus 300, it's borderline. It's not like a super valuable bet, but there is a little bit there, in my opinion. Next one we do have at 125 pounds, Casey O'Neill, Luana Santos. Luana coming in on short notice, making weight exactly at 126. Casey cutting a little bit more at 125.5 pounds. Prediction does remain the same. Is going to be a Casey O'Neill very close decision. Luana Santos looked great on the scales. Had a little bit of makeup on, a little lip gloss and things like that. She looked happy on the scales, smiling on the scales. Her face didn't look sunken in or nothing like that. So she looked fine. Casey O'Neill, who we'll find, she always has this kind of smolder look on the scales right there. So I think she looks fine as well on the scales. I would still have Casey O'Neill winning, so obviously the underdog bet is one I would do, plus 135. Let's check the props out really quickly. Minus 200 to go to a decision. If you look at Santos to win by decision is at plus 115, plus 140. And O'Neill by decisions at plus 250. For a fight that I personally think is a pick'em, I wouldn't see that there being that much value on plus 140. Plus 250 on O'Neill by decision seems good to me. If we're looking at the props, Santos by submission is interesting. I also want to look at Luana Santos, scorecards, no action. This one could be very valuable because I can't see Casey O'Neill going out there getting the finish, but I can see Santos going out there and getting the finish. So minus 135 on Luana Santos, scorecards, no action. So if she gets a finish, she wins. If Casey gets a finish, she loses the bet. And of course, if it goes to a decision, you get your money back. So personally, that's all I would do is the underdog bet, maybe a decision bet on Casey O'Neill, or Luana Santos to win by finish. And if it goes to a decision, you get no action. You get your money back. Ricardo Ramos, Joshua Culibao. What'd they weigh in at? 45.5 for Ricardo and then 46 for Josh Culibao. So no weight miss there in the UFC's featherweight division. Let's see if I can find him. Josh Culibao smiling on the scales, looking great. Happy, face doesn't look sunken in or anything like that. Ricardo always seems to have trouble on the scales, but his face looks a little bit better than normal, so he looks a lot better than his past few fights, where I have remembered him looking a little iffy on the scales there. So nothing really changes. Still got Culibao by a very close decision right there on the judges' scorecards. If we're looking at the props, Culibao by decisions plus 225. Ramos by decisions at plus 325. It's a 50-50 one to go all the way. Plus 100 on DraftKings could definitely have some value for a fight that I don't think Ricardo is going to go out there and finish Culibao. And I don't think Culibao is going to go out there and finish Ramos. If there is a finish, I would say it'd be Joshua Culibao. And minus 130, not enough there. So, yeah, plus 100 on goes to a decision. Could be good. Culibao's money line, personally, I'm not liking it. And then Culibao by decision, maybe. Plus 250 on DraftKings is pretty solid. Next one we do have, I believe, Valter, Walker, and what is the guy's name? Freaking, I'm trying not to say his brother name. Junior Tafa, not Justin Tafa, but Junior Tafa in the UFC's heavyweight division. Similar age there. Junior Tafa coming in at 244. He's been talking about possibly moving down to the UFC's light heavyweight division in the future. Valter Walker coming in at 252. He's probably not going to go down the light heavyweight, but both guys, not guys cutting weight to make 265 pounds. They're just kind of showing up at the weigh-ins and making weight. That's what they're doing. And Valter Walker looking funny on the scales, laughing, smiling on the scales and things like that. And his opponent, of course, right there in Junior Tafa, looking good as well. Obviously, they're not going to look good stomach-wise. They're going to have a little bit of flab and things like that. But I still have the prediction remaining the same. The slight favorite in Junior Tafa going out there winning a decision on the judges' scorecard. So that'd be it. Plus 160. On the fight going all the way, decent value there. Junior Tafa, I believe, has crazy plus money to win on the scorecards. Plus 600. Maybe a half unit bet on that one. Not too shabby. Carlos Prates and Jingliang Li. You've already kind of saw it on my Confident Picks video and things like that. I got Carlos Prates winning on the judges' scorecards. Li has never been knocked out. Ever. Prates is taller, lengthier, better striker. All of that good stuff. They both look pretty decent on the scales. If I can definitely find them, it's always a trouble trying to locate them on these pictures. Carlos Prates right here. Kind of looking a little stone face right there. I would say Carlos Prates probably looked a little bit worse than Li Jingliang on the scales. Li looked good. He was doing his little smile right there and things like that. So I don't think either guy looked horrible on the scales by any means. Prediction still remains the same, and that's going to be the bet if you're going to do anything there. Because, dude, I don't understand how. It's plus 173 to go all the way. Should be minus 110, minus 110. It's just a lot of recency bias on Carlos Prates getting a lot of knockouts recently. I wouldn't parlay Prates. I mean, you missed out on all the value on the Prates money line throughout this last week or two. If we're looking at Prates by knockout, I mean, you're getting minus money. You're not even getting plus money on him by knockout, where by decision, not too shabby. Prates by decision, plus 275 on Betway. Not shabby at all. That's all I kind of would do. Bam Bam Tuivasa. I believe Bam Bam cut a little bit of weight because he made weight at like 266. So Bam Bam is cutting weight. Jairzinho, I believe, might be cutting a little bit there, but they look the same like every weigh-in. There's like no difference between Bam Bam Tuivasa and Jairzinho Rozenstruik anytime they go out there on the scales. I still got the prediction of a Jairzinho Rozenstruik counter knockout in round number 2. So this one, I would say, let's find it before I start spouting what I think the odds are going to be. Rozenstruik by round 2 knockout, plus 600. I do believe it won't be in round 1. Round 1 is plus 170. I don't think it'll happen in round 1. I think it'll happen in round 2. So I would do a round 2 knockout prop there on Jairzinho Rozenstruik or nothing. The money line is not good on Rozenstruik. And again, if you're going to bet Tuivasa as a dog, plus 210, might as well go plus 275 on the knockout. So no money lines, either a Tuivasa dog knockout bet or Jairzinho to win in round number 2. Next one we do have at 155 pounds. Gamrot versus Hooker, dog or pass. You already saw us. My underdog of the card is going to be Dan Hooker, plus 295 on the betting odds. Solid odds to be betting on him there. Odds to go to a decision, no. Gamrot to win by decision, no. Minus 146. Come on. Zero value. God dang. I want to see this. Just curious. Gamrot scorecards, no action. Minus 135. Gamrot has finishing ability. He does have finishing ability. But would I consider betting him at minus 135 on the scorecards, no action? That's interesting, because Hooker by finish, plus 600. Gamrot by finish, plus 325. Which is interesting. Very, very interesting. I might consider that. Minus 135 on Gamrot to win by finish. If it goes to a scorecards, you get your money back. Only way you lose the bet is if Dan Hooker goes out there and gets the knockout. It's very possible, actually. I mean, most of Gamrot's wins are finishes. Obviously, he hasn't had a real legit one recently, but when he first joined the UFC, Scott Holtzman knockout, Jeremy Stevens submission, and Diego Ferreira ground pound TKO. Yeah, minus 135. I can't really see him getting knocked out. He's never been finished before, so yeah, minus 135 isn't actually shabby. So yeah, scorecards, no action, bet on Gamrot isn't too bad. Kai versus Erceg. I like Kai. I like Kai to lose this fight. I'm pretty confident on Steve Erceg to go out there and get the win in the UFC's flyweight division. I forgot to do it, but yeah, Gamrot looking great on the scales. Dan Hooker also looking great on the scales. I forgot to check the weigh-ins before looking at the betting odds on that one, but they both look great. Steve Erceg right there, looking a little bit fatigued there in the face. His face doesn't look amazing on the scales right there. Kai Kara-France, I would say, looks a little bit better on the scales, which makes me just a little bit less confident on my Steve Erceg bet. But it's still going to be the same. I got Steve Erceg going out there, winning a 29-28 decision, mixing in the takedowns, and keeping the striking very, very even. I would say if there's going to be a finish, I personally would think it'll probably be Erceg to get the finish. I don't think Kai has the... I mean, he has the power to knock out Erceg, but he's not submitting him. And even if he hurts Erceg, he's not going to submit him on the ground or anything like that. So minus 165 on Erceg, scorecards, no action is not horrible in my opinion. The plus 3.5 rounds if you're on Bovada, if you're on DraftKings or FanDuel. Some of these betting odds sites have the plus 3.5, which is if what is it? So say it's 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. If you add up how many points each fighter gets, if Kai Kara-France you can add 3.5 and he will win in terms of the amount of points, you win the bet. So for an example, let's say Steve Erceg wins 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. That means he would have a 3-point advantage over Kai Kara-France. But if you bet him to win at plus 3.5, it doesn't matter. Kai can lose the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. You add 3.5 and he barely edges out Erceg by 0.5 points. So that is actually interesting. If you're on one of the sites that has this, Kai Kara-France plus 3.5 could be interesting because I can't see him losing a 30-27. I think Kai should for sure at least win one of the rounds on the judges' scorecard, so that'd be an interesting bet to make. And then last but not least, Adesanya and Du Plessis, the main event of UFC 305 in the middleweight division. Obviously, we're going to check out the weigh-ins. Adesanya coming in at 184 pounds, so he's cutting a little bit more than he needed to. For whatever reason, I don't know why. Why would you cut more than you need to? But he looks a little bit kind of like normal. I know a lot of people are saying he's looking bigger. I'd say the chest looks a little bit bigger. Pause. I'm not talking about the gyno. But yeah, I mean, he kind of looks pretty similar then in most of his weigh-ins, even though he did make weight by more than he really had to. Dricus du Plessis looking really, really good on the scales. Face looking a little sunk in, but the abs and body definition and chest and biceps, everything looking great on Dricus du Plessis. I would say Dricus wins the weigh-ins because he didn't cut as much weight. He made weight exactly at 185. Adesanya cut extra weight, and I think personally, Dricus looks a little bit better on the scale, so it makes me a little bit more confident on Du Plessis. If you can still get plus money on Du Plessis, could be a decent bet. Of course, most of the odds sites have it as a pick'em. 50-50 should go either way, but again, like I've been saying, if you can get plus money, it's still a valuable bet on Dricus du Plessis. If there's going to be a finish, again, I would say Dricus du Plessis because he's got the submission in his back pocket. Minus 140. If it was a pick'em, if we can get minus 110 on Du Plessis scorecards no action, I would consider it. But personally, at this moment in time, probably not. We're checking the props out. Fight to go to a decision is plus money. Interesting. Plus 120 to go all the way. Du Plessis by finish, plus 185. Adesanya. Du Plessis decision is double what Adesanya by decision is, which I find very interesting. So plus 400 isn't bad on Du Plessis by decision. And then, of course, the money line on Du Plessis. So a lot of things you can do there for UFC 305. That is the predictions. Those are the betting breakdowns and, of course, the weigh-in recap for all of these fights. Make sure if you do, of course, want all of the bets I am making, we have parlays for this card, 2 parlays. I think we have 4 prop bets and a few money lines as well. Check the link in the pinned comment. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.